Welcome back to WagerTalk TV. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined in studio with Tony Finn and Brian Leonard. You can follow Tony at Finn at WagerTalk, and of course Brian on Twitter at BLeonardSports. Guys, this is probably the biggest game of the week. Sunday Night Football, San Francisco at Seattle. Both teams are in the playoffs, but one's going to be a wild card and one's going to win the division. And if it's San Francisco that wins, they can have the number one seed in the NFC. So a lot on the line. Tony, I'm going to start with you. Is it true they called you up and had you try out for running back for Seattle as well?
Yeah, they said win and you get tequila chocolate cake, lose and you only get chocolate cake.
Yeah.
I had to throw it in. This is a big game for Seattle. In fact, for both teams, but for San Francisco, winning it means an awful lot. As Marco said, first round bye, home field advantage throughout. They're the healthier team. In truth, all things being equal, I think they're the better team. I think Seattle has benefited. This is not the same Seattle defense that we've seen over the last half decade. Okay, they've done everything they need to do to get to the position they're in. Last week was not an aberration. Arizona, this was not. I don't think it was an aberration. I don't want to give Seattle. I don't want to downgrade them too much for losing Arizona. But they only gained 240-some yards. They gave up 40%, something like that. A lot of it has to do with injuries, and a lot of it has to do with their skill set and playing to their pay grade. Now, they didn't play to what I believe their pay grade is, but I think for the whole season, overall, Marco and Mr. Leonard, I think they've overachieved, and I like San Francisco in this game. I really, they come in healthier. They're just better at almost every position save quarterback.
San Francisco clearly, as Tony said, is the healthier team. But Brian, if you look at the San Francisco team from the first 7 weeks of the season, they held all their opponents to 20 points or less. And over the last 8 games, they've given up a ton of points. They're allowing over 25 points per game, 6 of the last 8 games. Is that a concern to you? But they do catch a break because we talk about cluster injuries, and Seattle definitely has the cluster injuries at the running back position, so much so that they went out and brought back Skittles himself, Marshawn Lynch, to play, and he's going to actually play in this game. How do you handicap something like that?
Running back is the least important position on the team. He's been on the team before. He knows what the plays are. Same coaching staff. I think it was a wise move. I love the way he runs. I think it's terrific. San Francisco had a tougher schedule the second half of the season than they had in the first, so you can understand that. But you're both right. San Francisco's the better team, which is why San Francisco's favorite in this game. One thing I like out of San Francisco is on the season, they're 3-1 straight up in games that lose the turnover battle. That's tough to do in the NFL. And Seattle's one of those teams that rarely turns the ball over because they run the football, they play good defense, they don't throw a lot, their quarterback doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. So that's very important to do when you're playing Seattle. Seattle has their major advantage on teams that they're going to own the turnover advantage against. And San Francisco is one of those teams that has done very well in that. So I think that gives the edge to San Francisco here. When you take a look at when you're grading Seattle's home games against the road games this year, they've actually been better on the road than they have at home this year. So even though we all talk about Seattle's home field advantage and all, on the season it hasn't been nearly as what it's been in the past. I like San Francisco here, but not enough to lay the full field goal. I think they win the game, but it's probably something I'm going to be leaving off for this game.
One quick mention, if there's an Achilles, I think for San Fran, it has been their offensive line since they've had a few injuries. However, Seattle's got some injuries on the defensive line, so it's going to be difficult for them to take advantage of that. I agree with almost everything you said.
Yeah, defensive tackle,
right.
Elwood's still suspended, so hurting there. They lose Josh Gordon as a wide. They lost a lot of weapons, but you know what? As you said, they've really over-adjusted this number because of the injuries, and the public overreacts to injuries. I still think, you're in a primetime game. I don't want to just cry the primetime home dog here, but you do got the X factor, and that X factor is Russell Wilson. This guy's been a magician all year. He's carried this team I mean, if you look at and we've done the numbers on Seattle all year, this is a team that their record has exceeded their statistics.
Without question.
Okay. But you have that intangible of Russell Wilson that gets the most out of the least. And, I still getting points at home. It's Seattle or pass for me.
It's sort of like the
I'd throw Pete Carroll
Minnesota
in
Green
there,
Bay
too.
game the other day.
Yeah.
Where we all thought the Minnesota was the better team. Green Bay stats haven't been there all year long, and Green Bay wins. So I don't really want to get involved in this game.
All right, good stuff, guys. Hey, we've got a special for you at WagerTalk and Sports Memo. Get 12 full months of all access from your favorite capper at either site. That's wagertalk.com or sportsmemo.com. Get 12 months, $1,200. That's just $100 a month to receive every play in all sports from your favorite capper, and that includes 5% plays. Those sell for $40 by themselves. This is the biggest discount of the year. Just use coupon code GIFT100 at checkout. We'll be back with more here at WagerTalk TV.